very big hello to everyone tuning in, and a very big hello to everyone at the Leo Club of Battaramulla. My name is Jayavi. I am a former competitive swimmer who is now working as a swimming coach at Rainbow Aquatics alongside the guidance of Coach Julian Bowling. What got me into the sport in short would be my parents. So I was actually living abroad in Kuwait, and we did not have the sport as such, and we would come to Sri Lanka once a month every year for vacation, and my parents decided it would be a good recreational activity to actually swim a little at that 1 month I was here. So that's what actually got me into the sport. This was back in 2009, and then in 2014 we came to Sri Lanka, and that's when I went to Asian International School and decided that I might try this competitively, because to be honest, it was actually the only sport that I knew about. So then my competitive career began in 2014, worked my way into squad, and then later on eventually I managed to grasp the skills and knowledge quite quickly, and that kind of pushed me forward. So as I mentioned, I only got into competitive swimming at the year 2014, which is quite short compared to what some athletes you get these days. So that was one factor. But what I did do was I managed to actually grasp the knowledge very quickly and advance my career. So by around 2017, I was swimming vice captain, and 18 I became captain. By 19 I was games vice captain. So that was a very big achievement compared to that short time I had in the sport. And now being a swimming coach, I think would be my proudest achievement, because you get to teach the next phases of the sport what you learned in your experience. And I think in general, being a teacher is one of the most proudest things that you could be, to give that knowledge to someone else and be happy with the return of just what they learn. I did take part in quite a lot of other extracurricular activities. For instance, I was a pianist. I did the Royal Schools examinations for music. Then I took part in athletics, so I threw the javelin and the pot shot for school, and I took part in ISAC. Apart from that, I was more into the management of sports, so I took part in organizing sporting events. This once again was mostly through school, but that exposed me to these big major events such as the International Swimming Championship. So I did a lot of sports management alongside swimming as well. It is related to sport, but it is not exactly related to my swimming career, so I take that as another extracurricular activity. And apart from that, I was really good in my academics, so I managed to secure the position of being a prefect for school as well. One of the main things that this sport, or any sport in general, would teach is teamwork. So this would affect your life in a very vast manner. Being able to work with a team is something you need to carry on, whether you're in school, university, doing a job, being a manager, running a company. You need to know how to work with people, and this sport, in swimming or in any sport in general, you tend to work with a lot of people, and you meet new people, and you either learn a lot from them or learn how to manage them in whatever you're doing. So I think that is one of the most major things that you learn, apart from which you also learn very basic but very necessary skills such as discipline, punctuality, neatness in your work. This would make you a much more efficient person in what you're doing, and you would manage to do your tasks much more easily compared to someone without a sporting or a teamwork background. I think what most people would expect me to do is to name my favorite athlete also, but the truth is that the most inspiring people are actually always around you. So, in my case, my first most inspiring people in the sport, since you have asked, would be first of all my peers, the coaches that I work with. They always have an input. Some of them are very experienced with more than 10 years in the field of coaching, so that would actually be good for me because they would advise in what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, and that would make me work harder or work better. Then they actually set the standards, so I have to prove myself to a certain limit. Then Coach Julian Bowling, also very experienced in the field, being an Olympian, he knows exactly what the children need and how we provide it to them. That's one of my inspirations. My second inspiration would actually be the children that I coach, because you, as a coach, you spend a lot of time with these kids early in the morning, then back again in the evening, and you tend to observe them, and then you realize that there is a wide range of kids, with varying ages, varying goals, varying plans for life. And when you observe, you realize that these plans are very innovative and that could be very useful for you as a person. So they actually strive you to do better or make better plans for our own lives. Then our job revolves around these kids, and they bring up different challenges. Not all of them are the same. They have different learning speeds, learning paths, and they create a challenge for us to sometimes give out our best as well. So that is yet again another inspiration to me, which I believe is more than what I could get from watching or listening to someone as in one of my favorite sports people on TV, or watch them do the event or so. Well, yeah, so what you as sports people should know is that there is a difference between competition and there's a difference between sport. Competition, yes, there's a winner or a loser, but in sport there is no winning or losing. Sport is something you do because you love doing it. Maybe it could be the people in the sport, the environment of working as a team. If you say, for example, rugby, it could be the contact of the sport, the roughness of the sport, whatever it may be. It is what you love doing, and there is as a sports person in competition, you will one day lose. All of us will lose somewhere, but then you come back to training and you will still love the sport as it is. That is what, as a sportsman, you should never forget, that you're doing what you love not because of winning medals, but because of the excitement and the feeling that the sport gives you. In that term, it does not mean that, okay, since you lose, you will not work hard or work better. You got to identify why you lost, where you lost, and then you should speak to your coaches, speak to your peers, and see what you could do to not make that mistake again, and maybe do better or even win in the next following competition, and so on. That is also part of sport. The ability of learning something is also something that personally excites me in the field of sport, in the field of swimming specifically. Well, it's true that sportswomen should do their daily set of exercises to keep that competitive effectiveness, but be doing exercise during this pandemic, where most of us are either sitting at home doing online studies, online lectures, or whatever it is, working from home. It's mostly sitting, and you tend to not move as much, and so the whole general public as such should engage in some sort of exercise in order to stay fit or stay healthy. and to just keep that body functions moving. So my best advice is to do a little bit of high intensity training every day, so could last from 20 to 40 minutes depending on how busy your schedule is. But I do understand that almost all of us are busy with specific activities, but you must keep working out, keep getting that exercise into your body. You also get these applications these days, mobile apps, that help you keep fit and stay healthy. It's something like a virtual coach, so you input your data in, and it will create very specific training specialized for you, and that would help you stay fit or get even fitter. And for the sportswomen out there, so what we do at Rainbow Acrobatics is we run this online fitness session every day at 5:30 in the morning. So if you do not have such a schedule going on, you could speak to your coaches and organize something so you have that competitive effectiveness as well as fitness. There is quite a lot of talent going around in society, I'd say, because if you look at the stats of competitions, you would notice that every year there is a larger number of participants for any named event. And not only that, but even the competitiveness of the events actually get harder. So if you look at swimming, you get every individual event and there's a specific time, a benchmark time, or let's say a record, and every year this record is broken and a faster time is input. So that does not mean that there's a larger group coming in, but even within the group there is more development, more improvement, and that again goes back to talent. But I also think this number could increase rapidly because there are some people out there who have shown interest in sport and who could have talent but are not guided properly. So if there are people who show, especially young kids who show interest in a particular sport, it could be swimming or whatever, it should be identified by the more mature people around that kid, and they should be guided into the proper path of the sport, and then again their names would show up on the stats sheets as well, or even in their record sheets in the future. I think what is needed mostly by the government or whoever would be the sponsorship or the funding, because you get sports people who are really talented, who are really good at what they do, but they get stuck at a certain point because they can't afford to either train, to buy equipment, or to actually fund their international visiting trips. So as a result, they come up to a certain level, but someone who is below that, who has money, would actually get the opportunity of showcasing themselves to the national or international level. So as of such, I think those people should be sponsored so they have their own chance to actually showcase their talents, which would further develop their career in many ways, because the eyes would go to them and they would later on find their sponsorships and develop rapidly. Well, it is hard to actually tell what the future would turn out like, but I think what I should do is give my 100% into coaching and learning new or better skills, or further enhancing whatever qualities I have as of now and producing results. So then my future at the sport would be very solid, if you would say. I do hope I get to spend a lot more time in the sport. So as I mentioned, I need to work hard to see what will happen later on. For last words, I would like to tell all sportsmen to never forget why they chose the sport, because most competitors these days tend to get so obsessed in competition that they forget about why they chose the sport and the fun and the excitement. Because one day there is going to be a day where you will retire from competition, and then I believe when you look back, you would actually think more about the excitement of whatever you're doing rather than the medals and trophies you have collected. So we got to keep that memory bright and clear. So as of that, you should never forget why you chose the sport. Apart from that, I would like to tell everyone never to give up in what you're doing, and to just carry on, and see where it would lead later down. And again, related to do what you do because you like doing it. And be thankful for the people around you that have actually helped you get to wherever you are, whether it's your coach, your parents, your friends. Always be grateful for them as well. This journey is never alone. You always have someone supporting you. That's all I have to say. Thank you, Leo Club, for actually having me here, and I hope I was able to spread some awareness or some knowledge into whoever's watching these interviews. With that, I'm going to sign out. Thank you very much.